Good morning. We're going to keep going and we're going to talk about selecting a sample. So, we talked about earlier about how populations are hard to get information on, so we choose samples. But we have to pick the right sample to explain our population. So, what is a representative sample? It has the same relevant characteristics as the defined population, but it doesn't favor one group over another. Allows people to study a population without studying every single individual in that population. It's a valuable research tool because it helps us learn about the population even though we don't have everybody in the population. So the first thing we can do is random sampling. And basically random sampling it's selecting by using chance or random numbers. Each individual subject, human or otherwise, has an equal chance of being selected. You can draw names out of a hat. There's also random number generators. Your calculator actually does that, and there's an exercise in the book on page 18 to 19 that shows you how to do that if you ever want to do that. So next is systematic sampling, and what that is you're picking, my computer just slowed down on me. You're picking a starting point and then you're selecting every nth subject in the population. So if you see below, we're picking every third person in the population. Many times in manufacturing, they'll do that. Like when they're coming off the assembly line with cars, they'll pick like every 50th car to undergo an extensive quality analysis to see how it is and if it's up to standards. Another thing is convenience sampling. And basically, you use subjects that have easy access to you. And these are prone to not making non-representative samples. So if I was to go to Georgia Highlands and do a convenience sample at lunchtime on the Cartersville population, there's a lot of Georgia Highlands population that I would miss. I might miss people who work during the day. I would miss people who attend the Marietta, the Douglasville, the Rome, all the other campuses other than Cartersville. So I might not get a representative sample of the population of GHC students. So examples, if you're trying to find out some information about a political issue and you only ask your family members, well, that might not be the right thing to do because your family might all be from one political party. And if you ever go to the mall, sometimes they're trying to get your opinion. That, again, is a convenience sampling, and it really doesn't do anything to represent the population. There's another one called stratified sample, and this can be a little bit tough. So what you do is you divide your population into at least two groups with a common characteristics. And then you draw some samples from each group. So if you see below, we have women and men. They're two different groups. And then we just pick three from each group. With stratified, it can be the same number or it can be the same percentage. Because sometimes you might have a group, while you have two groups, one group might have more than the other. So this isn't a more representative sample because you are doing the population by groups and then you're choosing the same number. Cluster sampling can be kind of tough, and it gets confused a lot with stratified sampling. So cluster, all the population is divided into groups called clusters, and then you randomly select some of the groups and collect all the data from them. When you make the clusters, you're trying to use characteristics that are pretty much the same in each group, so that each cluster is basically a mini population of the whole population. So this is used a lot by government, private research organizations, and a lot of times they'll put the data into clusters to see what it tells them. And there is something called cluster analysis where when you plot it on an XY coordinate, you can see patterns of where groups are made. They do this at the CDC all the time to find diseases all over the world. So let's look at some examples. A study is done to determine the average tuition that San Jose State undergrad students pay per semester. Each student in the following sample is asked how much tuition he or she pays for the fall semester. What is the type of sampling in each case? So a sample of 100 undergraduate students is taken by organizations and the name of the students by classifications, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and then they select 25 students from each, excuse me. So because we put each of these in groups that were very similar, so that's strata because they're groups where they each have the same characteristics, and then we chose 25 from each. That's stratified sampling. If I had said we had chosen all from each group and each group had the same amount of freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, that would have been cluster. For this, though, it's stratified sampling. A random number generator is used to select a student from an alphabetical listing of all undergraduate students. Starting with that student, every 50th student is chosen until 75 students are in the sample. While they did put a random number generator in there, the minute they talked about every 50th student, we know that's a systematic sampling because we're systematically taking every 50th student. C, a complete random method is used to select 75 students. Each undergraduate student in the fall semester has the same probability of being chosen at any stage in the sampling process. They chose 75 students at random. That's a random sampling. That's how you know that, because it says they have the same probability of being chosen. D, the freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior years are numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively. A random number generator is used to pick 2 of these years. All students in these 2 years are in the sample. Okay, even though they used a random number generator, what they did is they put all the freshmen, sophomores, junior, and seniors, and they were given a number 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then they divided the groups into group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. And they picked 2 of the years, let's say group 1 and 2, and they ask everybody in that sample. That's a cluster because they put everything in groups and then they picked entire clusters. So that's clusters. An administrative assistant is asked to stand in front of the library one Wednesday and to ask the first 100 undergraduate students he encounters what he paid for tuition the fall semester. The 100 students are the sample. So that's convenience because he just stood outside and took their opinions. So that's all that means. So that was examples of stratified, cluster, systematic, random, and convenience sampling. So that's going to end this video.